Morning. So Monday the 2nd of June, and weather's great actually. Not a cloud in the sky, and it's about 6:45 currently. I left my house at 5:50 in fact, and if you remember a couple of weeks ago, Greg Francis of Greg Francis fame, um, he fixed and serviced one of my hater mowers. This was the one which the deck eyelets had become ovals, which I believe is a problem with actually the Briggs and Stratton engine, that the bolts just don't bite into the engine enough, because essentially they come up from underneath the shell of the mower and then they screw into the engine. Well, they're just not biting enough, and what happens is they come loose, and all of a sudden every time you engage the blade it just sort of tightens the belt, which just kind of eventually just sort of moves the engine, and then the engines just starts pivoting, and once they've become ovals, then you're really sort of, I suppose the only option is to weld the holes back up and then re-drill them. I think the deck's probably made of cast. I'm sort of guessing a little bit there. I spoke to my mechanic, and he said I need to take it to an engineer or someone. That's where we wouldn't get involved in that. So actually I found relatively cheaply online, actually I found one, but Greg found one also slightly cheaper, a new shell or body or whatever you want to call it. So I had that delivered to his house, and then also it needed a new sort of, I don't know if it needed the actual roller, but the bearings, the chain, if you remember, the one of the front wheels was slightly wonky, and over time that put pressure on it, and then eventually that actually snapped off on one of my Tuesday fortnightly mowing jobs. So then the other mower needed a service too, so that left me without any 56s for a week. So I've got the newer 56 that's back. I did notice actually that the engine was moving on that one too, so I've tightened those bolts up. Hopefully by clocking it early, it hasn't started doing any damage. And yeah, so I'm just waiting for Greg now, waiting to pick up the mower. The only problem is it's obviously a Hater 56 Pro, which has a silver body, as opposed to the regular 56, which has a green body. I thought I was ordering a Pro, and I think Greg was quite shocked to pull out a green body out of the bag. Now, as far as the body's concerned, it's just a colour. It's no difference. The Pro aspect is all in the roller and everything else. So to be honest, I can't be bothered to send it back and get another one. So it's already sort of a bit of a monster of mower. I don't even know what the word is to describe it, but it's already a mower that's got like an old 56 style handle on. It's got the Toro match height. It's, you know, it's a real sort of amalgamation of mowers and things like that. So I mean, if there was a sell on value and things like that, I don't think the green body's really gonna cause any issues there for what it's going to be worth. So yeah, it's going to be a green Hater Pro. Anyways, I'm just going to carry on with my bit of paperwork while I wait for Greg. So it's a new era for me now, because the Rigby Taylor Trade Centre in Camberley has now closed. So I believe there's only one trade centre in the country, and that's in Leicester, I think. So I now, whereas rather than pre-ordering all my fertilizer for the season and things like that, I used to literally, just as I was passing by, pick up a bag here, pick up a bag there, need a bag of seed, just pop in, grab some. I'm no longer going to be able to do that. There's me two issues. One is obviously there's a potential price for delivery, so I'm not going to want to make lots of little deliveries. I'm going to want them to bring a whole lot of stuff in, but also then I'm going to have to now find somewhere to store all that stuff, and also somewhere to deliver it as well, because it's got to be somewhere where I'm going to be. So currently today the delivery of fertilizer is going to be delivered to my house and just left on the drive, and then so once I've picked up the mower here, I'm going to then go back and hopefully that would have come, picked it up. If not, what I've got is I've got a very late scarifying job just for a mowing client. I've also got a lawn from last week which needs to be mowed, so just I've got a few little local jobs to do, but the main sort of aim of today is to just get everything ready and like all the stock collected, taken up to the container, and all that kind of stuff done, ready for tomorrow when I will be out just purely feeding lawns as we come into the summer treatments. Here is the new, my oldest hater, but with a brand new dusty green body on it. So this is a Hater Pro, see, it says Pro, but with a green body. The bumper's missing, but that's because I've been testing the brushes. I shall put the bumper on when I get home. Annoyingly, the postcode's still on there, but we'll have to wash that off, and then we'll get a nice lawn guy sticker on there. But yeah, it's so new front axle, if you remember, that wheel snapped off, and all bearings and chains and all the business going on in and around the roller. So I'm at this very brown lawn, and I've just run over it with a light scarifying, and we're due rain tomorrow, and the plan was to feed it. So this is a mowing client, and the plan was to feed it afterwards. He'd said yes to that, but he's now changed his mind and said he'll feed it himself. So I expect to come in a couple of weeks' time to see loads of really lush green grass in places and nothing in others. So let's pop a pin in this for the moment, and we'll come back to it in a couple of weeks and see. But anyway, that is, and this is actually going to be, well, I've always run this as my secondary mower since I've got the newer one, but in some ways this is very much like Trigger's broom, so it's actually probably a lot newer. Okay, so we've scarified this, and as you can tell, there's still loads of moss in there, there's still loads of stuff in there, but what do you do at this time of year? I mean, you shouldn't be doing it this time of year, I know, but if you were to scarify it so there was nothing in, you'd have no lawn. So what I've done is I've filled up a bin, a whole bin's worth, and that's trodden in, and well, I didn't split the sides, but it's side splitting, and then I've got a bag full of stuff. So what I don't want is the client to come home, look at the lawn and go, oh, there's still loads of stuff in there, you haven't taken anything out. And he doesn't talk like that, I don't know why I did that voice. But what I want him to then do is to see the amount of waste, so a bin and a ton bag worth of waste, and then he can then go, oh crikey, actually there was quite a bit taken out. So actually he's paying to take that bag away, but I'm going to leave it here and collect it later, or maybe tomorrow morning when I pass, just so he sees the full extent of how much actually came out. We used to do that a lot with members when we did jobs, is actually, you know, if a tree came down and we spent a long time doing it, we would leave it sort of chopped up so they could all see it, and then we could say, look, that's what we've been doing, that's why, you know, the greens didn't get a cut and a roll or whatever, you know, because we had to clear this up so you could park your cars, or whatever the case may be. Sometimes people need to see the waste to really achieve, or really to appreciate what you actually have done. Okay, so this one was a successful one done in the springtime. No rodents. Client watered it, did as he was told, and as he did as he's told, he got a grass for a lawn, which is exactly what he wanted. Only thing is, he has a dog, and a dog kills lawns. So what you gonna do? Okay, morning. So it is definitely British summertime, and I can tell you that because it's raining, and it should have rained pretty heavy overnight, although it doesn't look as though it has, and it seems to have started kind of spitting in the last half an hour, so maybe it's just arrived late, I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, we've got a day of feeding today, so actually the rain's no bad thing. My spreader has a cover on it, so all should be good. So this is the first lawn of the day. This is one which got scalped within an inch of its life, top dressed, etc, etc. Obviously overseeded, and yeah, there you go. The only thing I'd say, you can see that he's cutting in two directions, the diagonal and the straight up and down. All I would do is change the diagonal to a right to left, just because you can't see that diagonal from the house. You would be able to see it if it was a right to left. Also, here's your patio, so then you would stand here and face your stripes there. That's the only thing I'd say on it, but yeah, not bad. Okay, so this is the only time, I forget what these are, these barn doors. This is the only time I prefer back doors which was one just opened up like a normal car boot, and that is for scenarios like now where, I don't know if you can see that, it's raining quite hard and I need to get the fertilizer in the hopper, but I don't want to get the hopper wet. So I've done it before where I've had a tarpaulin that I've literally put over the doors to just give me that kind of porch effect. So I just want to basically get the fertilizer in while it's under the roof. Then I've got some covers. Here you go, there's an old one which will go over, and that will just stop everything getting wet. But the minute everything gets wet and congealed in there, then everything just kind of stops working. And bearing in mind we've got a day of this, we don't want it to mess up too early. There you go, I opted for the new one so I can actually see what's going on. That first lid there was the original lid, so over the last 10-11 years or so I've had 3 of these, and the lid has outlasted, or the cover has outlasted them. So I mean, this is on its last legs, and you know, I've done videos before about how I clean it up. I didn't sand it down and spray it this year, to be fair, but it is on its last legs. We're at the next job and I've been greeted by an old school hater, 56. In fact, I have one of those at my brother's house. Okay, and now we're onto the lawn. As expected, there will be debris all over it. They have lots of little yappy dogs, as you can hear. I tell you what, it's in a lot better condition than what I expected it to be in. Lots of weeds come in. Again, I expected that as well because it was very bare. Wicket could be looking better. I'll try and include some photos of what it did look like. I'm sure I've got at least one. As I say, this is a new one for this year, and I got the impressions they don't look after their lawn at all. So impressed, I think. While I was passing, I just thought I'd just pop down to the football ground just to see what's gone on. They've obviously had their 6-a-side tournament, which they brought forwards to disrupt the seeding process, so we ended up not seeding. I said we should seed early, let it germinate, let it do what it's needed to do, and then have your tournament in July, which is what they used to do, but for some reason he went, nah, we don't want to do that. So hopefully this rain is going to green things up a little bit. However, nobody's got back to me. After phoning me, after the chairman of the football club contacted me for the very, very first time at 10:15 on a Saturday night, saying he wanted to meet me at the ground at 9 o'clock on the following morning, Sunday morning, and I said I can't do that. I've chased up my contacts and I've heard nothing. So who knows. Wednesday, and Wednesday was written down as a lawn care day, which it is. But if you remember 2 weeks ago, I did this big white house where no one lives a week early, just to create a little bit more space. Actually, next week I've got some things coming up, like school sports day and stuff like that, where I just need a few extra hours to attend. So actually I've kept it on the off week, if you like, just to help create that space. Also, this job is the nearest job to some of the lawn care jobs that I've booked in
for, well, still this morning actually. So we're going to do 2 lawn care jobs which are pretty close to each other. One's a large lawn, one's a medium-sized lawn, I guess. And then what we're going to do is go back to, well, this is the plan, is to go back to the 3 I did yesterday to do the weed treatments, because obviously it was torrential rain on and off yesterday afternoon, and that's the reason why I only got 3 done. Yesterday afternoon the rain came through, and I would say it was torrential. Roads completely flooded, so I had to put a stop to it. What it did mean though is I ended up going into a machinery maintenance shop, and purchases may have been made, but purchases which I've been looking at for a long time, and I'm very pleased they were made. One other thing while I'm here, if you remember last year, and I'd never seen it so bad, but because it was such a wet summer, the bamboo by this summer house just grew wildly every time. So this is a fortnightly job, and every week I came in, that's what it looked like. Now we've got to June and I haven't had to deal with any shoots. This hasn't been cut this year or anything. Maybe it had a tidy up at the start of the year, I can't remember, but just a tidy up. So yeah, 2 weeks growth, and there we go. They have shot out of nowhere. So we'll get the worst ones tidied up. Obviously when I cut the hedges here in I don't know, in a few weeks time, I guess, probably, I'll look to really sort of go to town on it. But the real eyesore ones, that really big one, I pull those out now. Again, it doesn't really matter because no one's here. So yeah, anyways, but yeah, I was having to deal with that every other week the whole summer. This lawn, I drove past, I don't know, about a month ago, and I'd say this whole lawn was brown. Just obviously you can see it's on a slope, it hadn't been watered. Fortunately though, the grass is pretty good, so as soon as we've had this rain, it's bounced back. So we're going to give this a feed today. I'm just walking around just seeing if there's any notable weeds that need spraying off. Same with the back as well actually, big slope, you know, rain sort of just rolls off it. So this would have been scarified and fed in late March, I would have said. So you can see there, that bit's really caught the sun, but I'm amazed actually how quickly it has greened up. You've also, not only have you got the hill, you've also got the shade, you've got the roots fighting, you know, taking the moisture out the line and stuff like that. You've got the overhang. It's when you consider all this stuff, it's not bad. But as I say, I'm going to feed it now, so that should get it back popping, especially with this moisture, and there's plenty more rain due tonight as well. Wednesday afternoon now. I got the 2, I don't know if I showed the second one actually. I got the 2 jobs done. They are the only two lawn care jobs I have in Hazelmere now. So I did the big mowing job, and that's the furthest property or job I have away from the house. And then getting ever so slightly closer were those 2 lawn care jobs. And then at the moment, the council, for some strange reason, have decided to close the 2 main ways out of the village where I live, and it's causing carnage. So essentially it's just adding 45 minutes instantly just to sort of get out. Tomorrow I'm on drop-offs and pickups with the kids, so I don't have 45 minutes to spare. So I generally don't know what I'm going to do. And then as I was making my way back to go and do the spraying of the weeds, and this is why flexibility is the key to this kind of job, I had a quick look at the sat-nav just to find the quickest way back of the 3 kind of possible routes, just in case there was like an accident or a road closed or something. And it actually took me one particular way. And as I was driving, it started to rain, and I then later on looked at the weather when I pulled over, and it looked as though it was going to be rain setting all afternoon. I was like, well, I don't want to drive all the way back just to not be able to spray because it's raining. And while this thought was sort of going through my head, I realised actually I was going past one of my Thursday lawns, which obviously tomorrow's Thursday, and it's also the one which is furthest away from the house, and it's the one which I would, of the 2 roads out which are closed, this is the road I would have to use to kind of get there. This is the one I normally do on a Thursday morning, and if you remember, I do fortnightly sort of the formal sunken lawn behind that wall, and then what I call the driveway lawn over there. And then on the other week, I then do all the wild areas. If you remember, in the springtime, this is all daffodils, and then they kind of die off, and then actually you've got a lovely little poppy in there. So with the Time Master, I just sort of cut everything back, and what I will do is bring the flail in and cut all this down later on in the year. So essentially that's what I've been doing, but what this has also created is a massive chunk of tomorrow. So tomorrow I don't need to use those two busy roads. I've created a massive gap. I can do the spraying jobs that I need to do, get it all done, as well as the other Thursday jobs, and not get stuck in any traffic, and yeah, and be able to be back to pick the kids up in time. So actually, by swapping things around at the very last second, it's worked out perfect. Now the rain might ruin that and means I may not still be able to spray yet, but who knows. And however, I don't know if you can hear the trees, but actually, although it's not raining currently, because it was raining when I first started, the wind has picked up. So although it's not raining, spraying selective along the side of flower beds in the wind is not a good idea. So it's arguable as to whether I would have been able to spray anyway. Play the spraying by ear tomorrow, but actually looking at the time, but I might be able to even tick one of them off if the wind has died down or there's no wind in the garden, you know, because of hedges and fences and stuff. It's not as open as what this is. We shall see. So I may yet do another job. So yesterday, when I finished my usual Thursday lawn on a Wednesday, as soon as I got into the van, it instantly started raining. So the timing of that was perfect, but it also meant that there was no option to go on and spray anything else. And then Thursday morning, as it is today, I woke up to torrential rain, and it hasn't stopped raining, and it doesn't look as though it's going to stop raining today. So that's made me very happy that I've moved one of today's jobs and got it done already. It also means that there's going to be no spraying taking place today, so that will have to go on till Monday now, because I certainly won't have time for those 3 jobs tomorrow. So today we've got two of the usual Thursday jobs. What this also means is that the 2 roads that are closed, I don't really have to get involved in that, so that's going to be not too much of an issue. So what I'm hoping is the rain is going to sort of just ease off a little bit. I think it's going to be a bit of potential rain all day, but not quite as hard. So that will just give me a little bit more time to get the 2 jobs I need to get done, maybe with some breaks for heavy rain and stuff during the day done. And also some time just to do some other kind of machinery maintenance and just general kind of businessy work, boring stuff, van insurance, stuff like that. So sometimes you need a rain day just to get stuff done. And certainly, although I haven't got a rain day, I've got a rain couple of hours. I'm going to make the most of that and get that sorted. And yeah, so if the rain does clear, I shall see you at one of the jobs. Okay, so it just won't stop raining. Not a bad thing though. It looks as though it's going to be raining on and off all day today, and possibly rain tomorrow as well. But then next week and the following, well, half of the following week, I've seen so far looks actually pretty clear. So I suppose if it's not going to rain, we've got to make the most of this while it falls. Today, obviously, spraying's out, as I've said. What I want to do is that newly turf lawn. I really need to get a cut on that, because, as I say, for the last 2 weeks, what I've done is I've cut it, and then I'm trying to bring that height down that little bit. I've got the other Hater Pro on board, and that's got the Toro match cut, so that's perfect for that lawn, because what that means is if I can try and get it cut down a little bit, but maybe 1 notch is too far, I can go for that kind of half notch, so that gives me a really good option there. As to whether I'm going to get everything done, I don't know. I just want to kind of, for me the priority is to get that cut, because come next week, next Thursday, if it rains as it has done today and yesterday and potentially tomorrow, and then we get to the weekend, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are all going to be really nice days, that the moisture that's fallen now with the warmth and the sunshine, that means it's going to be we're going to be back to square one again, and I'm going to be putting it on its highest height, trying to sort of get it just back down to how I had it last week. So yeah, it's a bit of a juggling act, but that is the priority. So I'm going to kind of make my way over there. I'm hoping there'll be a sort of a gap in the window of the weather before then. So all we can do. So there's a gap in the weather, so I'm at a Thursday lawn. This is interesting. Circle of really poor area, and then we've got a real green lush bit in the middle. What could have caused that? Now, the only reason I know is because it hasn't been removed yet, and that is this swing. So the swing is sheltering the grass from the rain that we've had, so that's why it's not grown, but there is a hole in the middle to let the rain out. So essentially what it's doing is just the rain's just dropping in the middle, so that bit's nice and lush, and the rest of it's acting as a shield, stopping any moisture getting to it. Friday, and I didn't get that turfing job done yesterday. Just kept getting caught in heavy showers, and then by the time I actually went to go and do it, and then the volume of traffic was just building and building. As I say, there's two major roads closed, so it's causing absolute carnage, and I couldn't risk going and not getting back in time to pick the kids up, particularly the littlest one that had to be picked up at 5, and I thought it's going to take too long just to get there, let alone cut the grass and then try and fight my way back through traffic. So in the end I just couldn't risk it. So it's a normal Friday lawn. I've still got to pick up the boys at 5 o'clock. On the way over to the job, it's just gone 8:30 now. It's about 8:45 probably. Pretty much for the last half of the journey. Our journey's about 20 minutes. It was torrential rain, really heavy. You can see on the driveway how it's still puddled and stuff. You can also see the lawns have greened up a lot, haven't they? When did I feed it? Fed it 2 weeks ago maybe, in anticipation of some rain. So yeah, it's worked out really well. So the plan is try and get these all done, and if I can, the turfing job that I did, that's actually technically 8 minutes away. So if I could get there, it's probably going to take a good 20 minutes of cutting and faffing around. If I can just get that cut, that would be enough to just kind of save the week, if you like, with regards to keeping control of everything. So anyway, yeah, must crack on. Coming back nicely, I would say. I'll just show you on the other side. Flown round, done the back. There's a few areas that just kind of haven't recovered properly, so I'm thinking next week I'll probably bring some seed and stuff to do them, but then it looks as though it's not going to rain for another week or so, so it's there we go. I'll show you this bit. This was almost in dormancy a month ago, so it's come back really nicely. It's about 1 o'clock. I was making really good time today. Now last week I heard the tractor sort of start to do the misfiring and stuff, so I assumed the coil pack was on its way out. And anyway, today it's been absolutely fine. So I was prepared to change it, but it'd been absolutely fine. And then I turned it off and it hasn't started, which is what happened last time. Fortunately, I do have the other coil pack, so I'm hoping a simple repair or replace will mean that it will be absolutely fine. See, we are working on the fly at the moment. So simply, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 bolts to remove this casing here, which then makes everything appear. And then simply 2 bolts, put this back on. This is actually magnetic, so you just need to make sure that it's not like touching so it wears out, but it's close enough to work but not touching so it rubs, if that makes sense. I think last time I literally just used a bit of plastic or even maybe a bit of cardboard or something just to sort of put between the gap, so as I say, it wasn't touching, but it's close enough. Before I put it all back together, let's check it works. Ooh, where's the key? There's the key. I'm trying to look for a camera and reach for a key at the same time. Okay, so I've made it to the turfing job, and as you can see, it is mega long. So we're going to cut it on its highest setting, get it down, and maybe get another cut on. We need to at least get it down to 5. Okay, so there we go, all cut. So cut it twice on highest setting, and we got it down to 5. Now next week, it's looking really wet tomorrow, but next week will be a Thursday cut. It's normal day, so one day less than a week. So hopefully it might be just a tad shorter, and the goal is get it onto 4. So there we go, all very good. So highest setting, just take the new growth off, up and down, or long ways if you like, and then dropped it to 5 to get the short ways in. Right, so I'm going to go take the grass off, go and empty it, and then that's me done for the week. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Next week we've got more lawn care and the spraying jobs I didn't get done this week, and yeah, then it's fortnightly mowing. As I say, I've got a few jobs, or I've got a few things on like sports day and stuff like that I need to attend, so how the week works I'm not really sure, so we're just gonna have to work around these things. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you next week.